Relief for these two to finally be able to touch Earth. What challenges will these astronauts face upon reentry?
Well, it's the reentry is going to be a bumpy ride for sure. There's going to be deceleration, which will feel like acceleration. They'll be pushed down into their seats and all that stuff. There'll be a splashdown. But what you're going to see tonight are images of these astronauts being taken out on stretchers. And I can just imagine how people are going to run away with the headlines and say something terrible has happened. But that is normal protocol when somebody's been in space for as long as they have. Yes, they were expecting to go for 8 days. It's been 9 months. The human body doesn't do well in weightlessness. It looks harmless. It looks fun to fly around like that. But the whole time you're up there floating around, dancing, or whatever you're doing, your bones are just losing strength. Your muscles are losing strength. And it's like aging in fast motion. And so when you come back, your body just can't handle 1G. It can't handle normal gravity, the thing that we're all walking around in right now. And so it takes a long time to recover. And so that's what these two astronauts are going to be dealing with for weeks to come.
Yeah, I read that it can even impact your eyesight. So are these things, these changes that happen to the body, are they temporary?
Yeah, I mean, they are and they aren't. So a lot of them go back to normal, but a lot of things stay with them. And actually, the eye thing does stay with them in the long term. So when we're walking around, gravity is helping to distribute fluids in our bodies so that it doesn't all pool in our heads. And if you hang upside down from the monkey bars, pretty quickly your face starts to look wrong. And when you're in space, that's kind of happening. You don't have gravity pulling all the fluids out of your head. And so there's extra pressure on the eyes, and that causes some problems. And one of the things that the ISS has been so useful for is measuring those changes and trying to understand how to combat them in these astronauts. Because if the plan is to go to Mars, even just the trip to Mars would take as long as these two have been on the International Space Station. And if they can't walk around on the Earth getting out of this spacecraft, today, you can imagine that people arriving at Mars would have similar problems.
What is the main takeaway or the lesson learned from the technical challenges that prevented these people from returning to Earth after 8 days?
Well, I mean, I think it's a success story. They lived. Everybody's fine. And so this was exactly what you want to have happen with a test mission. They had plan A, which was that everything works, and they go up and 8 days later they come back. It didn't all work, and they saw some issues as they were trying to park this thing at the International Space Station. They spent weeks and weeks and weeks trying to figure out what those issues were. They came to the decision that it wasn't safe for the astronauts to go back on that thing, so it flew back without them. It landed safely, so that turned out to be an overcautious approach, but that's fine. And then they jumped in on board and helped out with the mission that was already underway and did a regular tour as astronauts aboard the International Space Station. Now they're going home the way they're supposed to. So this is NASA working really well. And a narrative has been established, a political narrative that Biden failed them or that Elon could have saved them but wasn't given the opportunity. But they were never in peril. This was just the alternate plan if the machinery didn't work. So I think the big take home is that NASA knows what they're doing, and they've done a great job.
Dan Riskin for us. Thanks for that, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just ahead.